Grace Weatherly joins us right now, nationally known personal injury and civil rights lawyer, has served as president of the American Board of Trial Advocates. And we thought we would get Grace on to talk about what schools are facing right now from parental groups, from other groups as well. You got fringe groups that are pushing for certain things to be in libraries. You got parents groups that are wanting things to be taken out of them. Grace, Hal brought up the fact that he felt like when he was growing up that this wasn't going on, that we weren't seeing this. But I got to believe that even way back then, when he was in elementary school, that folks were pushing back on Huck Finn potentially and other books like that. Were they not?
They were. In fact, Little Black Sambo was banned 40 years ago.
Wow.
Right.
That long.
That's been going on a while, and it's more quietly done. And as you said, the parents had less to do with it than the administrators of schools. So, of course, it was done much more quietly.
I got to tell you, I don't know where to go with this. I would think that you can go to any school library and find something that's going to offend you.
Well, absolutely, and that's part of the education process, right? To think of things that you hadn't thought of before, to be exposed to new and different ideas. And the idea of banning a book, in fact, makes it far more attractive to students. And so really, if you want someone to read a book, you should ban it, because that's the first thing they're going to do is go to another library to check it out.
Well, that's a good point.
So give us some sense of what these fringe groups who want some books in and these parental groups who want books out, where do they stand from a legal standpoint as far as public schools are concerned?
Well, obviously, there's First Amendment rights when you start talking about banning books because they contain political ideas that don't suit you. When you look at the top 10 books banned in 2021, it looks very much like the ones in 2020 and 2019. The real complaint is anti-police sentiments and values that are opposed to those in our community, which are put out by some of the far right, as far as LGBT type content. But that's not far.
But you also have groups like those that are far left who are encouraging LGBTQ themes to be in libraries, correct?
Absolutely. And so, you've got this dichotomy. The problem is if you're the school administrator and you're trying to appease both sides or figure out what's the best thing to do for your students, and you start gauging whether or not a book should be in your library because it does or does not reflect the values of our community or our religious beliefs. Obviously, our community looks a lot different these days than it did when Hal and I were in grade school. And, who decides? So if you throw out Harry Potter because it's demonic, you're also going to throw out C.S. Lewis books, right?
Right.
You can't have one side without the other. So I think ultimately common sense will prevail, but book banning seems to be a trendy topic right now.
Like I said, I don't know where to go with it. Maybe just get rid of all the books that aren't factual books. You teach just facts in school. You don't teach opinions. You just teach the facts. And I don't know.
You raise an interesting point, because there's one thing to say this is a book in our curriculum. We're actually going to teach the contents of this book. And most of the debate is about what are the books available to the children in the library. That doesn't mean we're teaching the content. We're saying it's available if you want to check it out. Yeah. So do you see that as a big difference?
Yeah, because if you start using only books in libraries that are, as you said, factual books, then you eliminate Charlotte's Web or Lord of the Flies or things of that nature, which have been banned before, which is kind of crazy.
It has been, and in fact, if you're going to teach a child to read, you've got to provide them ample reading materials that are of interest to them. Right. Not many kids want to sit around and read a math book.
Yeah, that's true. Right. Other than how it is weird. Yeah. Thank you for joining us this morning, Grace. We appreciate the insight. Grace Weatherly joining us on WBAP.